Hello, I'm Greg. Welcome to my channel, Midnight Oil Software, and another Masterminds meeting live stream. Almost the whole gang is here today. We've got Jeff, Manny, Max, and myself. Klaus sent an email at the last minute that he probably would not make it. So how y'all doing?
You're good?
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah? Manny, I saw you've got some fun stuff to show off, an asset that you've gotten. I did put a link in the description to it. So you said it's going on a flash sale in a couple days?
Yeah, in 2 days, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, you want me to kick off?
Sure, go ahead. Take it away.
Let's get to that. Okay. There we go. Can you see my screen?
I can.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay. So this tool is from Infinity Code, and it's called the Ultimate Editor Enhancer. I got this in a bundle quite a while back, and I never quite got to use it, and it caught my eye the other day, and I thought I should really try this out, and it's actually a very awesome tool. So let me show you guys some highlights here. Just organize my stuff.
So real quick, are those colored folders from that asset?
It's got colored folders, and you can set in the settings so that it automatically colors your folders according to the type that they have.
Sweet.
It also has a little pop-up button, so if you want to quickly make a subfolder there, and that's very useful.
Yeah.
And then you can also set your autosave under the settings for this. If you go control and space bar like this, you get a quick access menu or a context menu. If you go to settings here, you'll see it's got save and autosave, and you can actually...
Where did your settings... Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, let me just drag it over. You'll see you can actually set it to automatically save each time you go into play mode, or you can save every how many minutes you want. This is 10 minutes for now, which is useful for me because I've had instances in the past where I actually click run and I wrote a loop and the whole thing crashes and I forgot to save my scene.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So it's interesting you're talking about this because I was complaining about some of the issues I was having with Unreal, and URI was telling me that some of the nice quality of life features that that Unreal has, like autosave. So
yeah,
it's nice to see that there's a pack that gives it to you.
There's definitely something I've wanted in the past. And another thing that I find very nice is they've got this timescale button up here. So you can quickly change your timescale, even if you're on play mode. But you can also, let's just set that back to 1. You also have these presets, so it can slow down the timescale to say 10 steps per second, which is nice for me if I'm debugging control input sometimes, because as soon as you click away, you're not making the input. So that was actually quite nice. And then in our context menu, if I can show you here, here we go. You've got some stuff here, like you can quickly create an object. You've got breadcrumbs here. So if you click here, you go up to the parent of the object you've selected. And here you've got the neighbors of that object. And if the object has children, let's just see if we could get something with children. If it has children, you can actually click here and find all the children for it. Then it's got some other stuff like your hierarchy, which you can quickly pull up. There's a lot in here. There's your project folder and your bookmarks. Now, this is nice for me because a lot of times you have 1 or 2 objects that you go back to a lot, like you go back to the player or to the scene manager or whatever, and you can actually bookmark it here and then just quickly grab it from your bookmark. So it makes it easy to jump back to it. And then over here, if you select a game object, it pops out the components here for you. and you've got different options where you can actually go. You can go just click it, and it pops out the window and it disappears when you click away. Or you can go here and you control click on it, and it clicks out as a tab. You can also shift click, then it clicks out as a window on its own. But what's nice about this is if I navigate away,
It stays open.
it keeps this. So if you want to reference a position or something like that, then you can actually grab that.
And that can also be really good. Like say you have an audio component and you want to drag a bunch of clips onto it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You would before have to lock the inspector or do a right click properties to open it up in a whole nother tab. But here you can just have that one component be open. And
and that was one of the major pains that I've had, especially if you're setting up, I'm looking for a word now and I can't remember. Scriptable objects. If you have scriptable objects and you have to pull in stuff from different locations. So this is quite nice. Let's get back to this. And then here you've got quick replace. Now what's nice about this is I can click on an object and I can go replace, and you can replace it with something else. So let's say you have one type of light and you want to replace it with a different type of light. You can actually click on it and quickly replace it. While I'm there, this also has a function that I can't show right now because I'm not going to break the project just to do that. It's got something called a missing script tool. So you remember when you get a component and the script doesn't exist anymore? This actually goes ahead and makes a suggestion and says, okay, I think this is actually a script that would be a good drop-in replacement for this. And you can use that. Then here.
Does it do it based on metadata, or just how does it make that suggestion?
I haven't played enough with it to give you an honest answer, but my guess would be that it looks at the other scripts that reference it and looks at the type of functions that are available and goes from there. If you're in runtime and you make changes to a component, it actually has a little button up here that says save, which means you can save the changes you do in runtime, which is very nice if you're doing some tuning or, last minute adjustments and it's like, this isn't quite right. Now you have to stop it, move it. And
where's the button? Because it looked like you lagged there for a minute and I didn't see where you were pointing.
Yeah, I had the button and I'm missing it right now. Let me see if I can find it. There we go.
Oh, okay, cool.
Can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
There's a little button there. Something that it also does for us is it actually pops out our components over here. So you can isolate the components too.
Now, if you go back to like that guy, it looked like that little toolbar where the save button was. There was also a copy to clipboard button or something.
Let's have a look. Yes.
Yeah.
I haven't even looked at that, but I'm pretty sure that's basically copy component. I'll check that out and get back to you on it.
So that goes on sale in 2 days, and it looked like it's currently $50 or something, $35.
I think it was around there. Yes.
Yeah. So do you know if it's going to be a 50% sale or 70%?
It's up for a flash sale, so I'm assuming 70% off. I want to show you one last thing. There's a ton to show, but I know we're pressed for time, so I just want you to have a look at this. With these objects, you get this little extra drop-down tool here, and it's got a tool called duplicate. If you grab this and you grab your game object, you can actually...
Oh, wow. So you can do that in Unreal. You hold down Alt and drag something and it will duplicate it.
Yeah. Now you can do it in Unity too.
Cool.
And then it's also got a custom pivot rotation tool. So you've got your pivot tool that you move the pivot. But if you don't want to permanently move the pivot on a game object, you can just do this and move the pivot to a point you want to rotate around and do this. But the original pivot for your game object actually stays the same.
That's like the kind of functionality you would get in Blender. It's cool.
Speaking of Blender, you can actually attach nodes to each game object, which is something you can do in Blender. So you've got a node facility, you click here, and you add a node to your game object, and then you've got a node manager where you can quickly call up all your nodes and delete nodes and add nodes. And then the last thing that it's a small thing, but I find it very handy, is if you want your game object on the ground, you can basically go Control and End, if I remember correctly. Let's just see here, Control and End. Shift and End, sorry. There we go. And it drops your game object on the ground for you. And I think you can also go Control Shift End, and it does a more advanced version of that, where you can choose how you want it to align, to the minimum or the average of your game object. It also has grouping functions and stuff like that, but as I said, there's just way too much to show on this tool.
Yeah, it's also similar to, like, when you show this floor, it's similar thing that I miss in Unity, that it's in an Unreal, when you drop model, Unreal saw like this ground point, and it puts like your model on the ground, not under, or
so it honors the physics, basically.
Yeah,
which helps. There's something that you can do. I'm holding down C right now. I don't know if you can see it, and you can actually move it there. And you've got some camera view tools that you can just quickly do your context menu, and you can click here and you say align view to camera, frame selected, align with view, align view to selected. That stuff you usually get up there in your game object menu. That's nice. And it's got view states, which you can see the states of your current view. So you've got the game state view and the camera views like that. So if you've got multiple cameras, you can quickly just check out what they look like.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I think it's very cool if you will add the full screen editor, or just the tool that makes screenshots for making screenshots of your game when you need very quickly to make some screenshot.
Yeah, and the main barrier for me with a lot of these tools is first learning all the tools so I can start using it in my workflow. Otherwise, it just sits there and it's useless to me. What I like about this is they've got this getting started thing where you can quickly just click through the features, and it gives you a quick overview. So if you start playing with it, or you forget a feature and you're like, I'm sure it can do that, you just pull this up and just quickly go through it. So yeah, I will now stop hogging all your time.
No, that was great.
It's worthwhile.
Because I saw that tool, I like it, and what you showed is I have several other packages that do the same, but separately. But but they cost not so cheap. And if you will see how much stuff there is in this package, it really costs its money, especially when it be on on the sale. I think it's definitely worth to buy. The only problem is just sit and study all the features, because that's the most main problem. But it's very, very cool. Yeah.
Cool.
That's the thing. Yeah.
That's
Over
nice.
to you.
Yeah, who's next? Jeff?
Go ahead. Okay, I'll go. So I was working on a lot of stuff. Had a frustrating week. Made some mistakes, I'd have to say. That hopefully I will learn from those mistakes. So the first thing, one thing I was doing before. Let me turn this off first. I was really trying to upgrade my graphics, and I had updated the cubes last week, and I was pretty happy with them. And now I wanted to update the little pieces that you're supposed to put together, like what I call the goal and the seeker piece. And I kind of had a plan, and I wanted them to have a circuit board kind of texture to them. A little different than the the sides of the cubes. But and I worked on the circuit board design, and I really worked on it. And then I realized that it was way too detailed for the distance that I was at, and it wasn't going to read at all. So lesson learned there to test your your items early, because the circuit board looks great, but if you actually play the game at the distance it plays, then you can't read it. So I tiled it up. It's not completely useless. I tiled it so it changed, and here's kind of the new object that I have. It's not quite how I want to look, but it's pretty close, and it's a lot better than the old ones in my opinion. I do want to add, I was kind of working on a shader node that would have like what I'm going to call like a shimmer effect every once in a while. It's an object you want to pay attention to, so I want to make a every couple seconds or something a shimmer across it. I'm not done with that, so I can't show that off. But there's the new. I only have the blue one in because I'm still kind of working on what it looks like. And has anyone seen anything with like a little shimmer effect, or does that exist? I'm sure someone has it. Maybe there's a.
I mean, there's a real poor man's version where you just sort of randomize the alpha or randomize the color, but you probably want something a little more sophisticated than that.
So I was working on like a shader node with like a glassy effect.
Yeah.
It would, and I have it so far. It's kind of changing the normals, the tangent normals, but I don't have it so it ripples quite, the way that I want it to. I had it. I guess it's not done. I was tearing it apart again, so I'll forget about that. But I was getting somewhere on it. I had mostly, it wouldn't disappear as much as I wanted it to, mainly.
Well, I would be curious to see what ChatGPT would give you if you ask it to write a shader, describe the effect you want.
Yeah.
But
it might get you started.
I do have a start, just not the timing is a little off.
Anything else, Jeff?
I don't think so. There's a lot of stuff that I was messing with, but nothing else that I can probably show. I mean, anything else that I would show would be just based on, as you know, there's been changes over the past month, but over the past week, that's kind of it.
Cool.
Oh, I will mention I'm really trying to get to like a demo state, so I've like cut my level selection screen down to 30 levels, and that's really where I'm headed.
Cool. Well, Max, you got anything?
Yeah, I have like something to the Jeff topic. So I have shaders, and I have the information about how I participated in the Indie Cup and where I failed, what I did great. So first to the shaders, because previously I just shared with you the link, but on the very end of the meeting, Unity released during the last Unite. They have released two stuff very cool. So they released the just package for the shader graph where they explain all these shaders. So I will try to share the screen for showing you. Entire screen, and I hope it will share it. Like so, you should see the shaders. Yeah, you should see some. So what Unity did, they created extra like package for the shader graph, where they tried to explain how every node is working. So they added like extra nodes and all the other stuff for each node, or for some effects that you can do. So here it's like they made
a
step-by-step instruction. Yeah, it is dissolved, but you can just jump through all the effects here.
Oh, okay, cool.
And you can, for example, copy in your project or just see how they're working under the hood. For example.
Is there a shimmer?
I still like exploring this because it's not working everywhere. So they are telling that it should work in the Unity 2022, 2023, and 2021, but in for 2022 and 2021, you need to have the latest long time support version. And how to check that? So you need to go to the package manager, shader graph, in the you can search it, and you will have this tab samples. And if you have old version of Unity or not new enough, you will see only procedural patterns. But if you will have a newer version, you will see this node references. So if you don't see this, just go and update your Unity version.
Oh, cool.
And then you just need to press like import, and you will have this folder shader graph node references, and you will see like all the nodes. And what they did, for example, if you go to the shader graph, you can create your own node. For some reason, I can now create node, and as you see, you have this. Okay, wait, it's not appearing. Maybe because I have second screen, and it's not allowing me to click here. So for example, here you have this like list of nodes, and the structure of the folders is same as you have here. So like channels, maths, and you have same shaders here. So you can like just look here like, oh, I like to know more about this specific node, and you can just go here and using the same path, just check like how this or other shader work. I think it's very cool, and I was waiting it. Like very sad that they didn't release it very early. So definitely need to check if you're like need to mess with shaders, because sometimes it's like easy to forget how to do even easy stuff, because I needed to create the dissolve shader, which is really easy, and I created it for about 5 times, but I still don't remember. So I need to go to my old shaders, check it like, oh my God, it's so easy, and then I forget. And
if you don't do it all the time, you just,
it
doesn't
evaporate from your memory. You just, wow, it's so easy, but no, you just can't. It can't be there forever. Cool. And that's all. Like they also released this project for, maybe you saw that, for like scenes, but I will just investigate it later and see how it works. But I'm very happy that they still continue to make it some material for learning, because like it's very cool to have like videos or text, but when they show this stuff that you can look and click, it's very, very cool. That's why I think it was very cool thing in Unity that they share this like project that you can click and modify.
Cool.
And now back into the Indie Cup where I fucked up. Like what I did not very cool is that in the first they have different types of content, like of it's not different types. They have like different countries. So sometimes it's a specific country, sometimes it's Europe, sometimes it's global. And what I did not very great is like they have these phases. For example, the first phase, they were just looking at your trailer. And on the second only phase, they are like playing your game. And this is made because like checking the trailer is much more quicker for the judges than just playing your game. So like if there are usually like about 80 games, only watching 2 minutes trailer is like on like 2 minutes by 80 games is 160 minutes. It's already a lot of. And imagine if you need to play every game. So they decided to do that way, and I didn't prepare a trailer good enough.
Oh no.
So I have this choice, like, okay, I'm making the build or I'm making trailer, fake trailer. And I decided, no, I will make a working build. But then they told, okay, you can send your working build later. You just need to have trailer that we will look at. And so
that criteria should have been defined up front.
Yeah. But okay.
By the way, Jason's story is in the chat. Hi, Jason.
Huh? So so the next time you should really thoroughly read like what they're looking on in the different this contents. But what is great that I was motivated to put my Steam page to create the Steam page to poly the game, so it's almost playable. I added cool shaders. Maybe next time I will show them, because currently I don't. They're very small for showing them on the screen. Maybe it's better to create some kind of video. but it's like 2 weeks or 3 that I had. I had this illusion that I need to prepare the build, and I really polished it very cool. So now it's very cool looking, and I'm just looking some other places where I could send it, because it's almost ready. So at least I can send it to playtesters and they can play. Yeah, because I fixed most of the bugs, like maybe 1 or 2 left, but it's quite playable. And that was very good reason just to try, and have the inner motivation just to like polish and game to be playable. But I was very jealous to the people that make the platformers, because when you can make a platformer, you can make 5-minute gameplay visually, and you have all the code that you add, it's like playable. And when you have some kind of logical or systematic games, everything is inside. So you'll put a lot of efforts building these systems, but then you need to put more efforts to like make them playable and make them story, make some progress, and that's extra work that you not always plan. And you're like, okay, it's everything is playable, but it's not interesting because it's like it's just mechanics, and you need to add extra story or progression, and it's something to consider.
It can be tough to make a trailer where you can see what's going on at a glance.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've been watching Thomas Brush has been doing game reviews of a bunch of different games on Steam, and he's reviewing them specifically for marketability. And he'll cover things like their trailer and say, oh, your trailer's too long, or this music, stinks, you should use some better music. And he'll throw some other music on and play the trailer with it, and you can see how it would sound with that music. And it's been very informative.
He released even 2 parts of the first part and second. I think it's very cool. But like now I understand people that like make not very cool trailers, because when you're making trailer on the very end, you're very tired of, and you're just like, okay, I just want to push it. I don't have enough like energy to polish it, maybe later.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the reason.
And I think sometimes you're too close to it to understand the viewpoint of someone, who's never seen it before.
Yeah. So I have some interesting news. You all remember my Highland Panic game is based on a game called Dutch Blitz, right? And I may have told you that I had actually worked with them a couple times before and given them some prototypes for a version of their game, because theirs is just a physical card game. They don't have an app or an online version or anything. And both times, once was in the 90s and again in the mid-2000s, they just stopped talking to me for no apparent reason, no explanation. They just, I think, got cold feet, and they just stopped talking to me. Well, I got a message right before Thanksgiving from them on LinkedIn saying to please call them at my earliest convenience. And I talked to them, and basically they're thinking about it again. They're getting estimates from different people. And they told me they're getting estimates from between $100,000 and $200,000. And I asked them if that was just to develop it and then they would own it. And they said, yeah, but there would probably have to be some ongoing maintenance. So on the Game Dev Show Discord, Jason Story in particular told me he would make sure that if I did that, to get 50% upfront, non-refundable. And I would probably want to have some terms on there about contract rates for any ongoing bug work or anything like that. But I would be really surprised if they go through with it. They're not tech savvy at all. They don't really know what's involved in developing and publishing a game. And then I also told them, I said, this may impact your decision, but I'm not making any money off Highland Panic. I said, it's really not selling, and I don't know if it's because it's not a very good game, it's not the kind of game people want to play, or if I'm just no good at marketing. Jason Story told me he thinks that I'm no good at marketing. So he said it a little bit nicer than that, but that was the gist. But anyway, I thought that's interesting news. If they do decide to go, forward with it, I could certainly lowball 100,000. And mostly it would be reskinning Highland Panic with their art. They did tell me they're completely redoing the art for Dutch Blitz, and that's keeping them busy and has been crazy. So I would imagine they want to wait till that's done before they move forward with developing a game.
I think they will talk a lot with the lawyers how to work all those stuffs, because even I talked, and sometimes it's very all these contracts, there is no one universal contract. There are like different contracts, especially when you talk about this like extra support. So some companies work different way. For example, they just have separate contracts for development and separate contracts for like supporting. So it's just like a milestone. Like here shipping the full game, and here we're paying like extra 3 months for like fixing the bugs.
Yep. So I was a little nervous at first when I called them, because the first thing that she said was, "I saw your post on LinkedIn," and she goes, "That looks suspiciously like Dutch Blitz." And I said, "Well, yeah." but then it was all about, they're thinking about resurrecting that idea and developing a version of Dutch Blitz. And there was no talk about I need to stop or, anything like that. So I don't know if they've talked to lawyers and learned that you can't copyright game mechanics. And I'm not using any terminology or artwork from them. There's really nothing of theirs that they could claim that I'm using. So I can show you a few things. We had Thanksgiving here last week, but I was able, I'm going to have to share my screen here for you guys. People on the stream can see what I'm showing. I've been going through an Unreal course that I got through Game Dev TV, and I'm really learning why I like Unity so much. There's a few things.
Welcome to the
But there are, it is pretty cool. The lighting is pretty cool here. I built this level just using some modular components from a free asset. It's basically a medieval dungeon asset, and so there's all kind of meshes and stuff in there for architecture and props and things. And I have a secret door here that will move if I trigger it, and then I've got an item that the idea is I'm going to have this gargoyle over here. You have to pick it up and kind of Indiana Jones style. I have a pedestal or something on here. You set it on top of, and then it will trigger this secret door. So like if I run, and it's interesting too, it takes several seconds for the lighting to kind of normalize here. It starts off dark and then it gets brighter and brighter. And you don't have a separate game view and scene view in Unreal. So I have to hit F8 to eject. And then if I select this guy here and select this mover actor, so their components are actors, you got this should move field. This is basically like a serialized field, like a bool. Instead, it's a U property with edit anywhere in it. But if I click that, you can see it animates down and opens up this secret door. I'll F8 to go back into my character here. And I can run around down here. So you can see like the outdoor light and the contrast with the indoor light. There are some weird, funky shadows. Like if I go in here and look out here, there's some really weird shadow flickering going on. I'm sure there's some settings to tweak that. The other thing I added, so if I eject again, I'm going to clear my log. So why didn't that clear? Oh,
because it's in the play mode, and it's
well. Let me just restart this. So it's that U tick. The is moving property is still true for that mover. So I'll show you that code real quick. Actually, I want the mover. So this is their equivalent of update. It's basically tick. It gets called every frame. And then I check this should move variable or property. And if it's true, I'm going to log out moving, and then I'm going to basically do the animation. I'm doing an interpolation from my current location to a target location over a certain speed. I calculate the speed by taking the distance from the start to the target and dividing it by the move time. And this is just the same as lerp, right? And then I just assign that back to the location. I've also got this grabber component here that's on the camera, the first person camera, and it's doing the equivalent of a raycast. They call it, this is like a sphere cast, basically. I'm doing a sweep looking for a single hit by channel. So a channel is kind of like a layer mask. You can think of it that way. And so I define a shape, which is just a sphere of my defined radius. So if we go up to my grabber.h, I've got this grab radius. So here's their serialized field. It's U property and then edit anywhere. That's so I can edit it in the inspector. I guess you would call it like the inspector. So yeah, basically I'm going to do a raycast. And if I hit something, I'm just logging out what it was I hit, or I just say no hit. Right now, one interesting thing, the way these are defined, you define something called a trace channel, and then you can say whether by default things will ignore it, or things will block, or things will overlap on it. And then you can assign different objects for this trace channel. Do they ignore it, or block, or overlap on it? And so that's how I handle that. But in order to add this particular channel into code here, I had to go find a .ini file under a config folder, search for my trace channel, which was called grabber, and then copy and paste that into here. So it's really clunky compared to the way, like in Unity, I would just have a serialized field, and I would just have a layer mask, and I could just check what things I wanted to hit for that mask right there in the serialized field, and that's it. I'd be done with it. Let me go back into Unity or Unreal and hit play again and clear my log. And I'm going to go run around into this room. If I hit the left mouse button, I have an input action I defined. And if I hold down the mouse, and it logs out grabbing, and then it tells me if I hit anything with the raycast. Now, if I run up here and look at this gargoyle, you can see I hit the gargoyle, right? So the next thing is going to be to actually pick him up and then run around and place him somewhere and trigger that door. Now, the other annoying thing about Unreal, if I add something like a trace channel or an input action, it doesn't show up in Unreal unless I close the editor and then rebuild. In basically in Visual Studio Code, I need to rebuild the IDE. I need to do a Control-Shift-B and then select and do a development build. And that will basically rebuild the IDE, and then I can reopen the project in Unreal, and then it will show up. So just think about how annoying that is.
Oh, it's even more annoying if, for example, if you're not sure what you're doing and you're breaking the whole, the
yeah,
Unreal.
I mean, I couldn't understand why things weren't showing up, and it's because you have to completely rebuild this stuff before it shows up. The other thing I've been working on, my next audio tutorial is I'm going to be demonstrating addressables. So I'm going to be showing how to use cloud content delivery, right? So I'm going to show how you can define, addressable groups and then build them out to cloud content delivery so you can not distribute them with your game build. You can just go pull them down at runtime from the cloud. So I think that will be a useful tutorial. That's going to be the next one of my series on music and sound effects. And I've also had a few people reaching out to me on my Discord and on my YouTube asking for help. One guy in particular was asking for help with, he's doing a homework assignment, and he's doing something similar to Pac-Man, and he was trying to handle collisions. And he could not grasp like why you want to set something as is trigger and use is trigger enter, and why he wasn't getting any hits on collision enter and that sort of thing. And so I tried several times just in Discord to explain it to him, and he wasn't getting it. So I finally just did a short video, something like a 10-minute video with just the basics of how collisions are handled in Unity. And so that went up like a day or two ago. He's still reaching out to me for help, but I didn't understand his question. He said something about he has some gaps between his pellets and the walls are blocking the collision. So I don't know. I need more clarification from him about what he wants in regards to that. So Anyway, I think that's about it for me this week. I have been getting some assets from the different sales, the Black Friday, Cyber Monday sales, some of the flash sales. I did want to demonstrate one asset. Let me start sharing again. I almost forgot all about this. So there is an asset called Deep Voice, AI Deep Voice. And it basically will do text to speech, and you can pick a model, and then underneath of that model, you pick what voice you want. And you got a lot of different voices. You type in your text and set a couple of parameters, and then you can generate the voice. And
you will never leave this fortress alive.
It's pretty decent, but they have a very meager quota of how many words or whatever you can generate text for. I've noticed in the reviews, people are very upset that they run out of their quota early on. Like it's a month, it's every month you can only do so many generations. And people are running out after like the first day just playing with it. So I've been very skimpy playing around with it. Oh, and initially I could not get it to work at all. And it's because, and I'm not going to scroll up and show you, but you have to enter your invoice number and then click verify. And it could not verify my invoice. And the reason is because you have to enable a setting to allow request over HTTP. I was getting an error saying insecure request not allowed. So it was trying to do an HTTP request, and by default in the developer, in the editor, Unity will not allow you to do unsecure requests. So you have to enable that. And there was nothing in the documentation about that I could find. And unfortunately, I was a little quick on the trigger to make a negative review. And after they responded via email, I was able to get it working, but I apparently can't change my review after I've submitted it to the asset store. So they added a comment to my review. So hopefully people can see that it did work for me after they reached out to me.
Yeah, like I use other tool. They also have the integration with Unity, but you can use the external app. And the problem is they really cut also the amount of time that you could use, because I use their services very long ago, like year or two, maybe a year, and they gave you like 30 minutes. So you like 30 minutes of voices, and now they're giving people 5.
Damn.
And it's a very big reason, because you just need to test everything, and you already like need at least like 10. And I played like with like 1 or 2 replics, and I already spent it 5 minutes. But they're also cool. It's called Replica Studio. I will show you. I don't have any minutes, but I will show you what you can do, because what they have as a cool feature is you have this phrase, like, I know, hello, my name is Max, and you can select with the text like each word, and you can set the pitch or other settings for each word using the even text.
Oh, okay.
And it's very cool.
So you mark up your text with tags.
Yeah.
So so that gives you a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, and you can also like speed at other settings. So I played with that, and it gave me the much closer result comparing to what I got on the very beginning. And they also have a lot of voices. So like I know, like maybe 50 in total. And that also like gives you the opportunity to select one that is better, because when you change voice, it changes the effect of the parameter also. Mm-hmm. So it's very, very cool.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I'm looking at the asset now on the asset store. They say they've increased the quota to 60,000 characters, which is supposed to translate to 18 pages of text at 12-point size in Calibri.
Okay.
But that was in October. I don't know when you purchased.
Well, I just got it as part of the flash sale. But those reviews that were complaining about the quota might have been before that increase.
Could be. But the issue you mentioned about enabling traffic over HTTP instead of HTTPS. I know I've had an app, can't remember its name. I was working on it for the Android store, Google Play Store. And at that point in time, they would not let me publish if I didn't have HTTPS.
Yeah, well, this is only for in the editor, because you're using this tool
okay.
in the editor to generate your audio assets. And there's a default setting in the editor, and this is under editor project settings, so it's not something that would affect your production build, I don't think.
Okay. That's good. It would be interesting to find out, because if it has to be HTTP for the build as well, then you might have a problem at the end of the day.
Yep. Oh, I did have one other thing to share, if you all bear with me. Oh yeah, Replica Studios. I use them. Max. Oh, I'm gonna have a mirror, infinite mirror situation here. Okay. The other thing I'm doing is I'm taking Jason Weimann's multiplayer mastery course. So, you know, he's got lessons on lots of different topics, and it's still early on in the course. The most recent one was on cloud save and economy, but he covered all the different types of authentication, lobby and relay services. He talks about, you know, client-side prediction and different things like that. But what's cool is, in addition to the pre-recorded lessons, you know, he also has Q&A calls several times a week. And, you know, you can see that I've been fortunate to be able to be on some of those Q&A calls with him. So I've been enjoying that. I think the next Q&A call will be tomorrow. Actually, no, it might be today. I think it was scheduled the same time as our mastermind, so I couldn't make it. But they're usually recorded, so I could go catch up on it later.
But it's like very cool, because I also attended courses, and they like also have this part was recorded course, and they had this part when you have the QA session like once a week, and it was really cool because first of all, you have this fun of people what are very interested in the topics. They're asking questions. You're like, wow, you have this energy of like people really interesting. And because we have this hour, and I don't remember a case when we're just sitting and waiting, because everyone had questions, and more questions. You have other people like, wow, indeed, I wanted to ask you about other stuff. And it's very cool. You have this engagement.
Yeah. The one call, most of the call was one guy in particular just going over his game and that he's working on, and how to fix some, like, I think it was some like issues dealing with like rotation, getting out of sync between the client and the server and stuff. And it was really interesting to watch and see the things that Jason would suggest. So yeah.
Yeah, it's indeed very cool. Like, if you want to have a course to put it instantly in your project, because I did with my Minesweeper. So why it is a little bit not great from the point of architecture, because I started to work it as a very basic project for myself, just for making a quick game. Then I decided to use the scriptable object architecture, and it's very cool, but it's not very cool when you're just making very complicated game. So it's very cool when you see it on the video, when people show you the small project, or like I don't know, game jam project, or like projects that are very short in time and you can remember everything. But when you're just forgetting about that and you're coming back, you don't remember how things working. And when I was making some other course, I decided to remake that. And when you're making something extra parallel with the course, you're like rethinking everything you see in the course. You just seeing from other angle and just like, hey, I want to ask about something different, because it's a little bit different than in course, and you have new opportunity to check your skill, and like, oh, you know, they are not working. And if you have Q&A station, you can ask people and have like help with some different variation of the problem.
Yeah, I'm already learning things from him that I didn't know about, that I wish I had done different in Highland Panic. So if I do Dutch Blitz, I'm going to probably go and revisit some things, try and do them better.
And like what is cool that you have all the platform covered, and I think they will be very happy that they can already show like, hey, we have covered all the platform, and you can play on any device with any player with other device. I think it's the biggest plus of the whole the game.
Yeah.
From
And I'm not sure what platforms they're going to want to publish to. I would assume they'd
all.
want Android, Apple and Android, and I don't know if they're thinking PC as well. But that means I would have to get them set up with publisher accounts for Steam and Apple and Google Play because I'm sure they have no idea how to do that.
It's like question when you want to ask a publisher like what minimum requirements like they expecting from your games. They always say something about like as low as possible, like everything as low as possible. So never say like okay, they win this. I say same with them. They will ask for all the platforms available.
Yeah. It'd be nice if you could go to console as well, but there's definitely a barrier to entry there.
Yeah, it's a problem with the consoles because sometimes you need to get them from publisher, and if they don't have them, because only Xbox is available without publisher, Nintendo Switch and PlayStation, you definitely need a publisher that have already some contracts with them.
We have a little bit less than 10 minutes, guys. Anybody have anything else they want to cover?
Yeah, I have a question, and this is probably going to be interesting to the audience as well. So, Greg, can you tell me, there's a couple specific questions I guess I have about Steam pages. So I'm starting to think about Steam pages. I hear advice, hey, you should get your game on Steam page as long as possible. Others are like, maybe you should wait a little bit. Can you tell me, I guess one of the questions I have is, if you start a Steam page, what do you need to actually have a Steam page and have it show up and not have your game done? What are the minimum requirements?
Well, you need a bunch of different screenshots, marketing images basically. And they give you templates, but there's several different ones. If I was to walk you through the process, and they have a pretty strict review process before they'll accept things too. But yeah, you want to have a good short description and long description of the game, a trailer if possible, at least one trailer. And yeah, lots of good gameplay images. They don't like UI screenshots so much. They want real gameplay images for the most part.
And I guess I find it a little bit confusing because people, I've seen in videos, people are like, okay, you thought of a game, make a Steam page, but that seems like it's not really possible.
Well, I guess if you don't have anything developed yet, you could just get some concept art to throw up there for it. And I guess the idea is you want to do it as soon as possible to start generating excitement. And they have a corresponding community page, and I never was really able to get mine going, but I guess you could get discussion going around it. And, if you watch Thomas Brush, or I forget the other guy that has a channel, like How to Market Games, there's another channel. They both recommend trying to build an email list.
Sure.
So offer giveaways or something to get people to subscribe, to send you their email. Like, send me your email and I'll send you, a demo or something, or some perk. Yeah. And then you build that list of emails that you can send out, like when the play test is coming out or something, to get people to play test your game, or when it's going to be released. Yeah, I obviously did a very dismal job at that. I got less than 100 wish list for my game before I release, and I've only sold a handful of copies for every platform.
And I have some things I think I want to, point out to you. I don't know if I want to do it on stream.
Oh, well, if you want to reach out privately, we can do that.
I wasn't going to make any comments, but then I'm like, okay, if someone's contacting to make identical game, maybe this is useful information.
Okay.
But what I can, because I also pass through all those Steam tricks, because I was in the rush, I was not very I had this deadline, and I was not very thinking that I need to put great screenshots, or I need to put great videos, I was just, okay, I need to make that very fast. And for me, I was thinking it's much more complicated. But what you really currently can do, because as a trailer, I just recorded the video gameplay during 2 minutes and it was okay. The only problem that I had, that some stupid problem. So I didn't properly. There is a rules that you need to connect your build to the game, and your like name of the game, like exe file, and whole path should don't have like dots or some other like basic stuff. So if you will, but you will need to check that, and it's really very simple, because currently what I saw from your game, you just need to put the skybox, good enough, like at least. And I think some basic, not like just good UI icons, and you can totally make screenshots, and at least you can prepare all of that and make the page, but not make that page public. So you can just spend your time and make it like for yourself, because if you will send to someone like some context or some other stuff, you will already have it prepared, and you just will need to push like public, or you can even share the game without publishing. You just can give the key to the people and they can play.
Right.
And because it's much easier to share your game when it's on Steam, even with the, like this closed version, when you need to send the key, because it's much easier than to send build, and then you need to check that, oh, it was wrong build, it was not the right archive from. So it's not very hard. They're not very like why we need specific quality of the product now. Like I send it everything very quickly, and they were like, right, okay. So we just need to check the requirements, for example, for the screenshot and some pictures. So some pictures need to show the logo, some don't need to show like logo. So it's quite easy. I will send you the video where just a guy was publishing his game on the Steam, and he just recorded everything, and he's just going step by step, and it was quite useful.
I've made one gameplay video just to share on like a local Discord channel, and I did it in OBS. Is anyone else?
Yeah. I mean, I've used OBS. I've used the built-in. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. What is it? It's the built-in like Xbox plug-in game capture.
I don't know what that is. Okay.
Well, if you hit the Windows key and G, it'll probably pop up on your computer. That works pretty good if you're just going to capture. It's designed specifically to capture gameplay.
Okay, I thought you meant it was built into
OBS is good if you want to like throw your face on there as well, and do any other effects and stuff. But if you just want to capture the gameplay, that Xbox bar, I think it's called Game Bar, Xbox Game Bar or something like that.
It does come up when I hit Windows G, but I've used OBS before, so I figured.
Yeah, if you're comfortable with OBS, that works fine.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I found that video. Okay.
I posted a link, by the way, to how to market a game page.
Okay, I've definitely seen some of these.
Whose dog is that? Is that Manny's? Yeah, he just muted. Mailman must be coming.
Oh yeah, I've seen this guy's channel. He's good.
Yeah. Well, it's 2 o'clock my time. I'm going to need to drop off. I will leave the call open if you guys wanted to hang out any longer. I'll end the stream. But any closing words?
I've got two things quickly. Posted a link to the Unity recorder, which also you can use to record gameplay in Unity. And as far as the marketing stuff goes, I know one thing that Thomas Brush did to get email addresses was he gave away free assets. At one point, he made a game for PewDiePie, if I remember correctly.
Yep.
And he gave those assets away to get email addresses. So that's...
And you need a web page for having this, this field, like, hey, put your email here.
Yep.
And one thing about the Unity recorder, it's very cool, except one thing, it's not recording your mouse pointer. So sometimes when I was sending video to my friend, and he was saying to me, I don't understand what's going on because I don't see the mouse pointer. So sometimes you need to think.
A really good use case for the Unity recorder is screenshots for specific resolutions. So if you want to make different screenshots for different Apple devices or Google, Android devices, or even for different Steam resolutions and stuff, I can just go into my canvas or into my game window and set the size of the game window, hit play, and then hit F10, and boom, I get a screenshot of that screen at the right resolution. And I can just drag it from my recordings folder into wherever I'm uploading it to. I also use it for my thumbnails for YouTube. I have a project called Thumbnail. And I put whatever like background image I want, whatever, Text Mesh Pro text and stuff, whatever little, like I have the Unity logo and my Midnight Oil software logo and so forth. And I just get the thumbnail looking the way I want, hit play, hit F10, boom, I got my thumbnail.
Okay.
So I'm just much more comfortable working in the Unity editor than in Canva or any other tool that I could use to make thumbnails. So
Yeah, it's GIMP for me.
And I'm still using your Photoshop for all this stuff. Like, okay, I will just mask everything like pixels. No.
Yep. All right, man. Well, I do got to jump off. So
Okay.
thanks.
Thanks you.
Y'all have a great week.
Yeah, thanks.
Have a good one. Talk to you next week.
See ya.
Bye-bye.
Be good, everyone.